What I'm trying to say is that the rec man that is talking now, he's telling us something that all of us know. I've been saying it before. Nobody, I repeat again, no Nigerian has ever won an election. All elections in Nigeria has been rigged. Okay. From 1923, 22nd of September 1923, when the first election, when the British allowed us, following the agitation of people like Herbert Macaulay, that formed the first political party in Nigeria. That party was formed in that National Party of Nigeria, NNPN, National Democratic Party of Nigeria. The first political party that was formed. That election was rigged because the British didn't want Herbert Macaulay in that parliament. They didn't want him in that place. They rigged him out, arrested him, framed him up of charges, put him in prison. This thing that politicians are doing, British taught us. But today now, let the Queen come and let the Prime Minister of Britain come and contest election in Nigeria. He will lose the election. You don't win election in Nigeria because you are good. You win election because elections are rigged for you. Results are rigged. Nobody, even Abiola's election, I still look at it this way. All of them from 1999, nobody has won election. All elections have been rigged from councillor to presidency.
Bring it back to Bivas and his.
Yeah. I will be. I have not just. I will. I have become your last bus stop. And said it from the beginning till now. I will be your end until Biafra come. I'm going to see you there.
Welcome, my amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are joining from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much, and remember.
A clean explanation of what the budget looks like. Nigeria would need to borrow 8.80 trillion naira to finance the budget. That's almost half of the money to finance the budget, and the rest to be sourced through proceeds from oil and gas. But you still need to look at the outstanding debts that we have. 6.31 trillion naira as debt, and the country is left with just 3 trillion naira. And in that, the country needs to pay workers' salary, which is about 4.9 trillion naira, and the pension, about 854 billion, and overhead costs, which is about 1.1 trillion naira. So I'm wondering, all this in this budget. Well, we have here in the studio, let's just get started now. We have the spokesman of the United Political Party, who is also a candidate of the Federal House of Representatives. I'm talking about Idiato North and South Federal Constituency in Imo State for the 2023 House of Reps election in Imo State. Ikenga Imo Ugochinyere. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's good that you're wearing double cap here now. You are CUPP mouthpiece, as well as also looking at what we call in 2023. And if peradventure you become a member of the House, National Assembly, these are the things that you put before you. Now let's look at the budget presented yesterday. You said it was, let me quote what the statement that the CUPP got. He said it is the budget is a consumption and borrowing document that lacks the substance that can lift Nigeria out of poverty, but an assured document to final economic bankruptcy. Please, can you explain this?
Thank you so much. First of all, the opening headline is that the 2023 budget of 20.5 trillion naira is unrealistic. Now we said it's very high in sound. You know, the way it's sounding boom, like 20.5 trillion. But at the same
time, the highest so far.
Yes, is lacking in substance and is as empty as the government that presented it. And why do we say that?
How do you mean?
Yes.
When you say,
now we have increased by 3 trillion to have 20.5 trillion. In terms of revenue generation, there's nothing that we have done on ground to block leakages or increase production and export, or the other things that would have helped us to have higher revenue. Now we have not even reduced hand in corruption and the way we waste government money in this country. Now what I'm saying in effect is that you have a budget that is 20.5 trillion, and the president is saying that what he's expecting to generate to fund that budget is about 9.7 trillion. And then the president is saying that he will need to borrow the entire 8.8 trillion. He's expecting to borrow, new borrowing plan. Then the remaining he will get from bilateral and multilateral loan agreement that he needs to draw down from that matured. And then the president is saying that in less than 10 months or thereabout to leave office, that he's going to sell government assets, privatization, and that he intends to realize 200 and something billion from assets that he's going to sell. We don't even know the assets President Muhammadu Buhari is going to sell this time for him to fund his consumption budget. And then when we looked at the budget, said out of 20.5 trillion, the president is saying that he's going to spend only 5 trillion for capital expenditure. These are things that are supposed to jumpstart the economy and encourage development. And that capital expenditure includes the component parts, the capital expenditure of the statutory transfers that he has to make. Yes. So all those projects are all tied. So maybe his own project may even be 3 trillion or thereabout. And this is what you're going to use to run the build infrastructure for the over 200 million people. So if we minus 5 trillion from the budget, in that case the president is saying the remaining 15 trillion, whether it's consumption or statutory payment or whatever, that is going to go into what basically will be non-productive. Then if you look at it, it shows that there's going to be more poverty. It shows there's going to be more economic crisis. And also, even the loans that he has been taking, none of them is always, reviewed in terms of by the time it matures, at what rate are we paying back and the terms and conditions. He just keeps taking money, like he said, I'm going to do new borrowing. So what about the over $25 billion that was borrowed last time? Remember the one that Saraki refused to approve, and Ahmed Lawan, the lawyer man, and Bajaramila approved for him. So what the impact of that particular one? And as we're dealing with that, he said personnel cost 4.9 trillion, overhead 1.1 trillion. Statutory transfer about 800 billion, pension about 800 or there about billion. The question now is, how are we going to create job? Because there's nothing in that budget that is encouraging in terms of growth in the small scale business sector, in the export sector. And also you need to understand that everything is relying on, apart from what he intends to borrow. The other ones are coming from the oil sector.
Yes.
And now he's looking at, I think, 1.6 million barrels per day. But the president can do more. Remember, we used to do 2-point-something million barrels per day. We used to do 3-point-something million barrels per day. How did President Muhammadu Buhari get to a point where what he's going to be dealing every day is about 1.6 million barrels per day? Why can't he focus on, finding a way to stop the oil theft? That every stakeholder has said that government people, including people in army and navy, are stealing the oil or protecting those stealing the oil. If the president could at least block some of those leakages, then the revenue can go up a little bit. And look at the war in Ukraine and Russia, and people are selling their crude and gas and making so much money. And here president is still pegging us at $70 per barrel, when even in the market, I think it's about 90 or 100 barrels, dollar to a barrel. So the point I'm trying to make is that the budget is unrealistic. It's still it has no direction that we can even follow. And it's still the same wasteful spending. Because if you go and look at those things that are in non-debt recurrent expenditure, which is almost over 8.7 trillion, some of them are items and payments that some of them, even if it is workers, some of the agencies that basically, I won't use the word useless, but doesn't have much impact. So there was a review that some of these agencies of government can be merged together. But then you keep creating more, you keep employing more, you keep paying more, you keep giving housing allowance left, right, and center, and you're borrowing to fund all this consumption left, right, and center. The agencies you have, you're not been able to put them together. Then there's some agencies that are supposed to be generating revenue. Somebody will generate 1 billion, but you appropriate almost over 50 billion for the person. And this is an agency that is supposed to have a lot of revenue generation. We have not looked into what is happening in NPA, in federal revenue, in JAMP, and so on and so forth, and NNPC that is supposed to be remitting. And NNPC is operating at loss. How can it be operating at loss when this is the same oil business that Iranians, Dubai people, Americans, British are doing, and they're making a lot of money? So the point I'm trying to say is that when I say the budget is as empty as the government that present, what I mean that the government has so much incompetence that is dealing with, because now for you to increase this revenue, you have to have security. What has the president done to be able to bring security so that foreign investment can flow in, and then our people that are into small-scale business, whether agriculture or whatever they are doing in different rural areas, can go back to their business so we can have export. Everybody is importing. Everybody is looking for dollar. He's pegging the dollar at, I think, 432 naira or thereabout, but in the market is about 725 naira. So I said everything the president designed, everything he talks about is to make us believe that things are stable. But nothing is stable. That's why I say it's unrealistic.
Now that this, you have given this explanation, so what kind of budget will the incoming president inherit?
There's no way anybody that imagines the next president is going to work with that document. Okay, if you look at the expectations Nigerians are having as we go to transition. So if you become the next president, you're going to start with a budget that over 15 trillion will go to capital sector. So how are you going to build the bridges, the rails, the roads? How are you going to get the water? How are you going to create an enabling environment for agriculture sector to thrive, for security to come into place, to small-scale business, for education to grow, for skills to grow? It's not realized. That is why the new government definitely will have a supplementary budget if they come into. Because by the time the new government comes, President Mohamed Buhari will have spent 5 months or thereabout. So you have spent part of that money. So at the end of the day, you cannot work with that document. Look at the issue of debt servicing. Look at the amount they are talking about in the area of debt, over 6 trillion. So look at what the president is also budgeting for subsidy. At times, with all due respect to the president, I said, at times you should, I don't know how he thinks. You are running left, right, and center, condemning the subsidy regime, that it is fraud, it is a mafia operation, it is illegal, and so on and so forth. And for 7 good years, you couldn't solve that issue. And now you are now appropriating 3.6 trillion to pay people that are subsidizing for fuel. But as I'm coming now, I couldn't get the fuel.
But Kenga, but you're aware, and you've also listened to some persons say that this present government inherited bad government. That's why they inherited corruption, inherited an already dead economy. So that's why they found it very difficult to, even within 7 years, resolve some challenges that they inherited from the 2015, the previous administration. And there are also those who are saying that the incoming president should be patient. Nigerians should be patient for whoever emerges as a president because of these challenges that you have mentioned. But as you suggest, are you thinking that whoever becomes a president should rework this budget and then go and give it to the National Assembly as supplementary budget?
Yes, of course, because like I told you, there's nothing in the document for any new government to work with. By the time the new government comes in, they have gone 5 months into expenditure of the 2023 budget, and this people, they will first clear up the expenditure items and pay them off. So by the time you come, all you have is statutory transfers and loan servicing, and nothing will be left there. Nothing will be left there. So that is why for you to work, you have to go back. It's not even coming up with a supplementary budget that is this. You are even going to get the money. That's why, like you said, Nigerians have to wait a little, because you know why I say that? You can't crash the price of dollar. It has to go with production, export, or sale of crude or whatever. These are economies. It's not something that you can decree. There's a lot of things that is going to take time. You have to first of all restore security so that farmers can go back. You have to solve the environmental issue that some of the farmlands are flooded. Yes. So that we can go back. And now, we spent close to over 2 trillion helping the agriculture sector, both the rice farmer, both the agriculture, yam. At the end of the day, we don't have the rice, we don't have the yam, we don't have the carrot, we don't have all those things. Government, we are doing seminars and commissioning different things that central bank gave them money to do. And
anchor borrowers.
Yes, all that. So some of those farmers that are fake, or people in government still cornered and share that money, because with the amount of money they have gotten as support to the agricultural sector, there would have been food sufficiency. And today, go to the market, you know how much they're selling 1 carrot, you know how much they're selling 1 apple, you know how much they're selling 1 yam. Things are, even we are managing the yam now because it is the season where people have harvested. After that, it's going to go up. Not to talk of the ones people can, process to make starch or whatever. We don't even have those things. The point I'm trying to make is that, you see, there is provisions in the constitution when the government is not doing well. This economic crisis, this insecurity, this abuse of the fight against corruption did not start today. It had been there. And then President Mohamed Buhari promised 3 things. 1, he will fight corruption. One, he will fix the economy. One, he will provide security. And I asked the president, looking back at what is happening now, can he beat his chest few months to go that he's a hero in the fight against corruption, in economic revival, and providing security? Almost over 31 states of this country is affected by activities of non-state actors that are armed and bandits.
Yes.
Then look at the corruption. Look at the amount of money people are stealing. You know, for somebody that they say his body language does not allow corruption, then there's the kind of money I should expect people to steal. But when you see the accountant general or whatever that was accused of, you look at the kind of amount, over 90 billion or the bad allegation he bought a house for somebody. You know, all kind of things they say under President Muhammad Buhari's government. That is why ministries, if you check the budget, the ones they did in 2019 up to this moment, some of them have the same items repeated, like purchase of vehicle, utility vehicle. How can an agency of government, you buy Hilos this year, you buy Hilos next year? These are brand new vehicles. So this thing, people are now using it as item to take away the money and then divert it to another project. I had expected the president to find a way. I know this thing they gave to him, he didn't look at it. He just have to read some part that he could.
But you won't blame the president alone. Probably you look at the ministries, agencies and all that, because this is where these budget is coming from. They draw up their budget and they submit it to the budget office. And if these things are still there and nobody is looking at them to say, anyway, the National Assembly will definitely scrutinize this. They will scrutinize it.
They have done they have done this 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 to up to this moment, and then the country expenditure keeps rising, and then the project were not seen. Okay, look at 7 good years. The president promised that when he gets to office, the Abuja Lokoja Edo Road. My sister, see what is happening there. Is it not a national shame? The president could not dualize the road, and then he couldn't control the environmental trend. Just like 2-3 weeks ago, there was a broadcast that there's going to be flooding. And there was no preparation that was made. It looks like it was something that just happened from nowhere. And now look at that road that serves people from the north to south, movement of goods. Citizens are suffering. Okay, those agricultural items that are on the move, some of them coming even to farmers market that have been there since 3 months, they are damaged. Yes. These citizens are going to lose their money. They can't be able to send their children. So my point is that in a situation where citizens are suffering, the ability of the president to relax like nothing is happening, that audacity is what I queries where he gets it from and how he gets away with it with a parliament that should have called him to order. Now you have a group of people that are elected to represent these people that are stranded on that way, and they were clapping for him. If I was in that parliament, I would have said, wait, why are you still here? Why are you still here, coming here to present this ritual every year when there is no impact on the lives of our people? People cannot go to farm. People are being kidnapped. Government is begging terrorists, release them, don't release them. We pay money, we don't pay money. Look at the kind of things after you have spent almost over 5 trillion providing security equipment. We cannot be able to police our border. We cannot be able to go to ordinary Kaduna Forest or Niger or Zamfara. Bandits' heads will go from Katsina to Zamfara and take chieftaincy title, and you are still there. When you see things that have religious or ethnic coloration, it will just jump up. But the things that will unite the country, the things that will make the country stable, to grow the economy, to grow revenue, he refused to do. That's why I said this budget is the last document for this wasteful spending to consolidate the path to economic bankruptcy.
All right, so we'll just quickly go for a break because we'll also be looking at the leakages that you spoke about. Nigeria is a non-economic system, and we do so well. We dwell on just oil and gas, and there are so many leakages. I found that a report where Tom Polo said that even the military is culpable, that they should ask them questions. But we're still waiting to hear the military's own side of the story. So let's quickly go for this short break as we bring you the Benue State Governor, where he was also, this is also a crisis in the PDP. He is saying that two options for the national chairman of their party, that's Senator Yoche Ayu, is either he explains those monies or he should maybe he's trying to say he should apologize, but let's listen to him.
But I have said the party leadership, including the national chairman, have failed in solving the problem. And I have advised them adequately. When the BOT came here, I told them what they needed to do. And the national chairman, I have told him what he needed to do. I cannot go to the extreme level of calling for his removal, but I call for him to do the right thing, to do the needful, which has not been done. And that is all. And that is why I keep saying that the party has not been able to deploy its internal conflict resolution mechanism to solve this problem. If they do it, we can all flow and work together. But shalaning people and thinking that you are there, so nothing can stop you, is what is creating problem. So for me, there is still time. The party can work on that. I am in the G5, but I've chosen because the issue of removal of nationality, he is from my state, and so I have decided to keep quiet. But I have advised him on what to do. I've advised him on what to do. If he doesn't do it, if he does that, the other people, he'll be happy that I'm privileged to be in the G5, which Wiki is the leader, and he should be happy that I'm privileged to have information from there and to give him. If he takes my advice, fine. If he doesn't take it, that is all, because the right thing has to be done to give people comfort. So, because comfort should be given to all. Because whatever is the demand of Wiki today, nobody can blame him. Because the chairman himself said that he will resign if another chairman emerge as another chairman not emerge. Another presidential candidate. As another presidential candidate not emerge. So, why is he not coming out? And I have offered two things. It's either you resign or plead and beg the people to understand with you why you should continue as national chairman. Because you said it yourself, nobody compared you. This is my position.
Yes, that's the Benue State Governor there, talking Samuel Atam, and he's saying, yes, that Ayu should be happy that Ayu is that he is privileged to be in the G5. He gets information from the G5 that Wike is a leader, and also go to Ayu. So the advice is given Ayu is either you resign or you plead. So resign or beg. That's it. The same thing. The meeting that they heard in Enugu. Also, the same position they held, they said it's either he should plead and apologize to them for some of the comments that he made. And now he's talking, I don't know whether to say Benue governor is talking from the side of his mouth. He said on the resignation, I don't know, I'm not there. But at the end of the day, he still finally said resign or plead. So we need to listen to these people very well. Nigerians need to watch politicians very well, so that they are not taken aback. Well, we'll look at that, because he is also a PDP member. We'll look at that towards the end of the program. But let's quickly look at what I said we're going to talk about. The leakages. You talked about leakages, and we're having a budget. We're complaining that corruption is our challenge. When Buhari came in as a president, he campaigned on 3 mantras. 1, to end corruption, to end insecurity, and to better the economy. And you have just said that people are stealing, and the kind of money people go away with in this government it's something that worries Nigerians. Also, Tom Polo that they gave, that they said he should be in charge of oil thefts, has come out again to say that high top people in uniform are also the ones. They are the ones doing all this. I remember that the government also said one time that churches are also involved in oil theft. So if it seems like both governments, people that are given responsibility to safeguard oil, all of them are in this battle, in this business together, where do we go from here?
You see the way every little criminal in Nigeria is doing kidnapping, banditry, and all sorts of petty criminal activities. In the same way, petty criminals have even gone into the oil sector, especially in the riverine area. Everybody is competing. Those ones who are scooping and refining the gas that are sending into the city centers, that is destroying people's generators and cars and so on and so forth, to the big ones. You have different layers. There is one they call topping. There may be a vessel that is supposed to take, say, let's say 10,000. They come with a vessel that will take like 20,000, and the person is allocated 10,000, and he gets like 15,000. So such things can be possible if there's a kind of conspiracy between the people at the flow station, to the people supposed to monitor the waterways, to the people who are the weather customs and so on and so forth. When I was working on this particular issue on oil theft, and I discovered that you have a record that said, let's say 20,000 barrels or thereabout left. But for you to know what really happened, when you get to Port of Texas, because in America they cannot falsify all this import and export document, you discover that what came in may be 1 million. So from this end, you are seeing 10,000, but what you see in Port of Texas is 1 million.
1 million.
So this means that this stealing is at the highest level of government, whether security agencies or government at different levels or non-state actors that are armed, is a business. Everybody in government knows. Everybody in security agencies, people in DSA, they know this thing I'm saying that is even going on as I talk to you now. There are some of them that will go as far as they will lay this pipe maybe from somewhere like Apo, and then get it into the Atlantic Ocean, and they are loading there. There's one
I've seen videos of
there's a report about other TV stations that can show you where these pipes. So the question is, how were they able to construct it? And we say we are spending billions of dollars on surveillance and protection of the pipeline. If you look at Nembe Creek trunk line, it has almost over 150 leakages. These are people drilling this. So where is those security agencies? And these things are destroying the environment. Most of the oil companies that are passing their crude through the Nembe Creek trunk line are losing a lot of revenue, because before it will get to the terminal that is managed by Shell, the thing has completely gone out. So the point is that the stealing is a national issue. It's official. Government knows about it. It's not just recruiting Tompolo, because you discover that even in some of those areas where the big guys, the people they call the big guys, are doing the bunkering, can Tompolo and his men go there when there will likely be security agencies in between? So are they going to allow them, or tomorrow they will classify him as a sea pirate or bunker just to cover what they are doing? That takes me to what I've been saying, the will. When Obasanjo was here, yes, there was bunkering, but it wasn't something that everybody was doing. That's why we had revenues that were almost 2, 3, 4 barrels per day. The production was high because it wasn't something that everybody was doing. This thing started from Jonathan and then worsened under President Mohamed Buhari. The non-state actors are taking our crude and selling it and making money, and people in government know the people that are involved, whether in security agencies, whether in NNPC. That's why NNPC will keep telling you they are running at loss. How can sweet crude be a business that you are running at loss? At a time there's war in Russia and Ukraine, where there's demand for gas and energy. It doesn't make sense. And you're even saying your benchmark is 70 barrels per day. Are we going to account very well for the excess that will be sold from the crude? So a lot of confusion in the system, but not just only in the oil sector, even in the non-oil sector. That is why you see, how can Nigeria, out of that 9.7 trillion that the government said they expect to generate, about 2.something trillion is coming from the non-oil sector, these taxes and so on and so forth. But if you look at the kind of ship that is coming into the country, if you look at the activities of NIMASA, MPA, Federal Land Revenue, NNPC, all those revenue generating agencies, you can see that government can do more than 2.4 trillion per year in terms of non-oil sector revenue generation. So that leads me to that the taxing system, either there's multiple taxes that is going into private pocket, or some agencies or government will generate tax and return part of it and say it's their running cost, and then people keep wasting money that are not appropriated for. And then you have a parliament that overlooks it. After one public hearing to the other, nobody is sanctioned, and then they will sit on this budget and then find a way to. You see some of the lawmakers already saying speedy passage of what document? What is in that document?
There are government agencies that are set up to look at these whole issues. NISA is there, that is in Ibadan. Is it that they are not submitting their reports, or like you said, the stealing of our oil is official?
Yes.
And because the people that are there, that are involved in this stealing habit, may just see the report and then put it on the table.
What about the report of NATIN, the scientific industry? Those ones, they will come and say, this is what happened, this is what happened. What about Auditor General's report about it? So there's a lot of reports that goes to show that this stealing is happening at different levels. But like I said, the will to implement them, they have the EFCC, the police, even if they have the will, would they not call them from Villa and say, leave Mr. A or Mr. B?
Is it Villa that is doing that?
I don't know who's doing it, but
when you point a finger at Villa, yes, you are pointing the finger at the government that is already screaming, yes, that we need to protect our oil, that they're stealing.
And that is why the president should take blame for everything, because you are commander-in-chief. You have the right to deploy the military. You have the right, you have supervisory powers over investigative agencies and security agencies. There is police, there is EFCC, there is ICPC, there is NATI doing their own, there is a general report. There's everything that president have enough information to be able to move against the vendors, against the people that are bunkering the crude, against the people that are stealing it directly from the ocean. Every group of people. But the question is, why is president not doing that? Rather, he's crying that his revenue is dropping. Your revenue is dropping, yes, Mr. President, your revenue is dropping because you allow criminals to be stealing the crude in the area.
Something you didn't even mention. The president is the Minister of Petroleum, and that has been since 1999. And if we're having these challenges where we have the president said, I want to supervise the
petroleum industry, and then he's crying.
If we have these challenges, do we continue in this trajectory of presidents being Minister of Petroleum as we go into another regime?
That's why I said a lot of things is wrong, like combining those two responsibilities. And but like I said before, if the head can show a good body language of zero tolerance to stealing of the crude, zero tolerance to non-remittance of tax. Remember, this is a country where there's TSA, and some people were still retaining revenue without paying it into the TSA. And when they were discovered, they would just say, President have directed them to remit, instead of grabbing the man, prosecuting him, and jailing him. What I'm saying that there's this official or unofficial acceptance that this thing can continue to be going on the way it's going, and then you turn back and say you are losing revenue. You turn back and say the recurrent expenditure is very high, but you see your ministries in the Villa, they are buying the same spoon they bought last year, they are buying the same vehicle they bought last year, they are still fueling the same generator they are fueling last year, the same amount of diesel. There's no, these things, like the civil servants get these templates, they fill in the figures and they give you can read at the National Assembly, and you come back and you're crying.
When can we have a government that will be sure to put an end to these anomalies, corruption, stealing of our national crude and all that? When can we have them? Is it possible, or it has eaten deep into us that we're going nowhere anymore?
No, our own has not gotten bad like the Chinese before Max Don came, or Allende came in Chile. It can be changed. That's like I said, a leader that can inspire confidence, and citizens that are willing to make sacrifices and be able to this is not going to be business as usual, because not just government, citizens are also involved in doing things that are bad, whether they are contractors, whether they are business people cutting corners, not wanting to pay your food tax, then as a contractor job that have been executed, re-awarded again, and you are taking the money. Because when we talk about government, it's still Nigerians that are this government.
Exactly.
When we're not saying that we needed a leadership that have shown zero tolerance, like you see the president of Zambia that rejected the new car they wanted to buy for him and said this one is okay, that asked his minister, you cannot have a champagne in an event. If you want, you can buy your own. You cannot ride on a convoy of 3-4 cars if you want to buy your own. If you want to buy a car, you buy the locally made vehicles.
So you're thinking that we should
I'm just saying the readiness of a leader to make sacrifice, and the readiness of a leader to discipline any of people working for him without looking at whether he's party chieftain or chief financier of the party. That body language is lacking in President Muhammad Buhari. Okay, it's weak, and that is the problem.
But you know that the opposition parties, which you are the spokesman, as for a political party, you also have to do something to help the government of the day. But what we have in Nigeria is that once they lose election, all of them go to sleep. Why are they not providing alternatives? Like in the Second Republic, where PRP, UPN, as well as NPP, most of them, they come out with their own idea to say government needs to do this. They advise government on what to do. Is it that they lack an idea? They just come out and then go for election. When they don't win, they go into their bedrooms.
But they have tried in the past. The problem is that the president started from the one to muzzle opposition, civil society. And
How?
For instance, even today, AIT and other TV stations, look at the NBC Act, that you get to be held responsible of a comment made by somebody who is on a live program. Are we in Zimbabwe? So government has created environment that is making it impossible for people to voice their opinions. Then even when you do it, they go and resurrect one charge and 5 charges here, grab you here, keep here, revoke your this thing. You know, there's all sorts of things they are doing not to allow. That's why you see for the last 7 years, the civil society, community, opposition community, most of their leaders seems to be weakened, because those ones that were vocal were charged left, right, and center. You can see even there was a time people were charged for murders that were committed 10, 50, 100 years ago, just to make sure they don't get. Some of them are arrested and put in detention with magistrate order, like you have in Imo, Ebode, and some other states. So these things seems to be systematic, and that is why most people felt instead of entering trouble with them, let me go home. And then some of us that have been vocal, you don't have the chance to be in detention, and up till now they are still chasing us left, right, and center. And you have a country that even when issues are raised, go like now, for instance, we are here when I produce hard evidence of how the voter registration was compromised, which is tagged Omoma Magic. What did you see? People were attacking me left, right, and center, and instead of the DSS arresting those people who released their password for that criminality, they are busy, as I speak to you now, arresting INEC staff, trying to find out from them how did this thing leak. So the DSS is working with what supposed them are doing in Imo State. So this are things that makes people to feel like, why are you trying to do all these things? Because government seems to be in bed with everything that is bad.
No, just make me understand. Yes. They are arresting INEC staff.
As I talk to you now,
to find out who
the first one they arrested, DSS, you know, quote me. If the DG DSS that I will let him hear it from me. They arrested Felice Ago. They arrested the other one. There's another one they arrested. They released him like 2 days ago. Then there's one that is currently, I will get the name, that is currently in DSS detention in Owerri. Ask DSS to tell Nigerians why they are holding INEC staff in Owerri.
But you are alleging because we don't have the facts. We don't have the facts.
That when I tell you something,
I think we need to do research. We need to investigate this.
Did they hold Felix like all these people? You are holding people and you are asking them, could it be you people were the ones that leaked the information that there was compromise of voter registration? What I expected security agencies to do, if we want this country to work, was to get all those people that was involved in that Omoma Magic who were released, because from the registration you see the beavers machine with which the registration was carried.
That's why they went to INEC. If actually what you're saying is true.
I said this is getting to almost 2-3 weeks. I have made the revelation. The one government should have done was to arrest those people, because this is close to being like treason. Arrest those people who aided in uploading those fake registration in the 18 states that I'm alleging, and Omoma, which is the particular place Governor Hope of the mass word. And those people have not been arrested, and some of them are still in INEC. How are we going to have free and fair?
But you just said they arrested some INEC staff.
No, the ones that's why I'm not getting point. The people that they took has nothing to do with that, and the questions they are asking.
Did you also investigate that?
Who and who must have printed the voter register? Who and who must have leaked it? How did they leak? So you are interested in blocking how
I like one fact that you're a lawyer. So you don't just make statements that are not true.
I'm saying that if the DSS is not aware, let him come here, will come. That in a way that his department is arresting INEC staff, and they have not arrested the people who helped and aided the compromise of the voter register. And it's very bad. And I'm saying it boldly. I'm not hiding. Who do I fear? Why would I say it the way it is? They are there. And the people are there. When I leave here, I will send you the names and the pictures of the people.
Please,
I will give you for the
need it so we can investigate.
So we have a free and fair election when there is an atmosphere of intimidation against an independent agency that is supposed to conduct free and fair election. What kind of nonsense is that?
All right, Ikenga Imo Guchinyere, thank you so much. We've been able to take a look at the budget and the challenges before Nigeria. And if things care is not taken, the person who will become the next president of this country may just be falling into a booby trap because of what is before us in the country. But we'll be talking more.
Thank you so much for your patience to watch from the beginning to the end. I hope you have learned something from the video you have just watched. The video you have just watched is to bring information to your doorstep and for educational purpose. It is not to demonize anybody. Let us watch continuously and see who can be able to make a sense out of every nonsense we are seeing. We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. We will kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you and remain blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.